everyone, Ann Wyatt here, Vice President of Client Success for Health Fitness. Welcome to the Health Fitness Podcast. Well, welcome back to the Health Fitness Podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Today, I think we have a really interesting topic for you, and that is pulling back the curtain on careers in corporate fitness and workplace well-being. And sadly, it's an area of this industry that people don't even know exists. So whether you are a fitness professional that's looking for your next career move, or you're an employer saying, hey, how do I separate a great well-being program from an average one? Well, then I think this podcast is for you today. And remember, if you like what you're hearing, make sure you hit subscribe. And I want to introduce to you Darcie Pierson. Darcie is Executive Director of Human Resources for Health Fitness. She's also a SHRM certified professional, and she's really central to us for recruiting, growing, and developing our fitness, well-being, and industrial performance professionals that are really at the heart of the health fitness organization. So Darcie, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Ann. It's great to be here.
Excellent. Well, listen, corporate fitness, it's not just managing a fitness center. You and I know that. You know, a lot of people think we go in, we turn lights on and off, make sure classes are being held, get memberships going into the door. But it's so much more than that. It's building relationships. It's making sure that we're improving health. We're creating culture, which is a really exciting one. And ultimately, we're impacting people's health. So I want to know, why do you think so many people don't realize the range of career opportunities that are available in this industry, especially in this corporate space in fitness and wellness?
I honestly think one of the main reasons people don't know about corporate fitness careers is because it's not something that's widely talked about in academic programs, at university or colleges. There, as folks are coming out and graduating, I just heard from a high school guidance counselor. They said that the jobs we are preparing these students for, referring to the high school students, they said the jobs we're preparing students for don't even exist yet. And I thought, wow, that puts it into perspective. And so when we think about this industry, the students graduating with degrees in exercise science or kinesiology, athletic training, they often hear about a handful of traditional career paths, right? They'll hear about coaching athletes, becoming a personal trainer, maybe pursuing physical therapy. And what they might not realize is there's this entire segment of the industry that's focused on supporting people in the workplace.
Right.
And as fast as the world is changing, it's just not uncommon for a lot of industries. New jobs are being created, and these academic programs, they don't necessarily have a chance to get those in front of new graduates.
Right. Yeah. Well, one thing I thought about was I started as an intern over 30 years ago. And, I remember I stumbled upon it, and I'll be honest, I stumbled upon it in a newspaper. They don't do that anymore, of course. But, I stumbled upon it and I said, wait a minute, this is a thing, please tell me more. But, that just tells you even today that people don't know it exists. It's definitely needs its due. So for me, how are people discovering the field today?
Yeah, there is no more careers section in the newspaper, but I think historically, I think historically people discovered them almost by accident, those corporate fitness roles. Today, I think people are discovering them through a couple different pathways. One is exactly what you described, is the internship or even the early career experiences, those first steps out of college. But I also think the growth of workplace well-being has created a lot more visibility. So you have now organizations talking more openly about employee well-being. They're talking about injury prevention and how that leads to engagement and workforce health. And so as those conversations become more common, people are beginning to realize, wait a second, there's professionals behind those efforts. And they're realizing how rewarding those careers really can be.
Absolutely. But, I think when people do hear about corporate fitness, their mind first goes to, someone's leading a class, they're managing a gym, the most basic pieces of what we do. And of course that happens. But, it takes me back to one of my first leaders that really impacted my career. She always told the funny story that, when her mom would introduce her, she'd go, oh, this is, so-and-so, and she teaches aerobics. And this was the vice president of our company at the time. And it's just like, no, she does a lot more than that. But, people just have that image of what that could look like. So what's the reality? What is someone doing day to day in these types of roles that we have?
I love that story. And, thanks, Mom, right? She
Yeah,
teaches
right.
aerobics. I think it's a pretty typical visual to get when thinking of corporate fitness. And the reality of it is today's professionals, they're coaches, they're
Yeah,
relationship builders, they're educators, they're really well-being advocates. And they're helping these employees build healthier habits. They're navigating barriers with them, and
yeah,
they're connecting this well-being into their daily life. So it's a lot of people work. It might look like writing or building programs for individual clients. You could be creating an engaging challenge or a program at the site you're working at, and all of the design work that goes behind that, things like that. And from the HR lens, I look at it and say they're also helping to shape employee experience. They're
right.
creating this trust. They're building community, and they're making well-being way more accessible to people who may not ever step foot in a traditional gym.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun for sure when I think about it. I know, so you've painted that broad picture of what people are doing, but think about, why are so many people choosing to build careers in this industry, and specifically in this space. I think about, me with Health Fitness. They People that are listening to this podcast know that I've been with the company over 30 years.
Mhm.
I've clearly forged a career path, but why do you think other people are looking for it?
Well, I think other people are looking for it because they want to make a difference, and they want to be able to see the difference and the impact that they're having. So, one of
Hmm.
the biggest misconceptions I think people have about a career in corporate fitness is that you're going to have to choose between, personal trainer or managing a fitness center or maybe teaching group exercise. But the
Right.
field is so much broader than that. Nutrition, for example, that is a growing area. And registered
Mhm.
dietitians, they're bringing this specialized expertise that helps people make informed decisions about their health. And
Right.
you can see that difference. At the end of the day, I made a difference here and I'm becoming part of this workplace community. One of the career paths I think is still a little bit of a hidden gem is injury prevention and
Oh, yeah.
industrial performance. And I mean, these are cool careers because these professionals are applying movement science directly to the workplace. And
Right.
what they're doing is they're helping these employees understand how to move. They're in a workplace, identifying potential risks. They're right there coaching body mechanics as they happen. And this one, like I said, is so much fun because our health fitness roles are out there doing line side coaching. They're doing pre-shift warm-ups, and you're encountering all sorts of different work throughout the day. It's no 2 days look alike in that role. So
Right. Yeah, not be in a fitness center is just a whole different level of service that we provide, and it's so much fun to impact people differently than just, helping them with their workout routine for sure. And I think too, when you think about how all these things you talked about, the nutrition that we're seeing so much more, is really always been kind of hand in hand with what we do, but it really helps us uh, help employers here. You know what? Say less. I want to know more. I want to be able to be signed up for this type of service to help my employees even more. So I think this makes a lot of sense. So, what skills or qualities, Darcie, do you think someone who simply manages a fitness center, to help separate them from the ones that really are changing employee health and engagement when all is said and done?
I think the difference truly boils down to whether someone is focused on managing a facility or are they
Hmm.
focused on influencing people.
Right.
Because a fitness center can be clean, organized, well run, all those things absolutely matter. But that
Right.
alone it doesn't create meaningful change in employee health and employee engagement. And so
Hmm.
I'm finding the professionals who truly make an impact, they understand that they're not really in the fitness business. They're in the people business,
Yeah.
and they know how to build trust. So from my seat in HR, that's especially important because the workforce is made up of so many different types of people, right? You might have an employee training for a marathon and then someone else next to them who hasn't exercised in years. and
Right.
maybe a busy parent, right, who's just trying to find time for themselves. And so the most exceptional professionals, they understand those different personas and they know how to connect with each one of them.
Yeah. We've talked about the personas in a few episodes back, and it's been something that really has gotten a lot of traction because it's looking at things differently and with so much more intent. And I think that we have that opportunity in our roles is so important. What makes health fitness a place? You get to see us every day. What makes us a place where people want to build long, meaningful careers?
One of the things that has always stood out to me about health fitness is that people don't stay here, I don't think, simply because they have a job. They
Right.
stay because they continue to find ways to grow and make this and feel like they're making a meaningful impact. And so
Right.
when I talk to people who have been here for 10, 15, 20 years or more, there's a couple themes that come up consistently.
Right.
First, first one is purpose. They feel like at the end of the day, I have helped somebody improve their health or improve their safety. I've helped somebody level up in their quality of life.
Yeah.
And that could be from working in the fitness center. They might have been coaching healthy habits. They could be doing injury prevention in an industrial setting. But that's incredibly motivating to know you've had that impact. And it's a big reason people stay here and build
Yeah.
careers. The second one is growth. One thing
Yeah.
I've learned in human resources is that career growth isn't always about moving to that next title. People want to be challenged and they want
Yeah.
to continue to learn. They want to develop professionally. And what's cool at health fitness is that growth has taken so many different forms. It might be an additional certification. It could be
Mhm.
participating in specialized training or maybe building yourself some expertise in a special area of well-being. We also say that, mentorship here plays a really huge role. I know you, Anne, are a huge participant in our internal mentoring program, and
Mhm.
we just have so many talented professionals across the organization that connect that way, and it often opens a lot of doors to future opportunities.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, like when I started with the company many years ago, if you start at a corporate fitness center, you're helping to manage it and making great strides there, but the growth was really okay. Your next step is a bigger corporate fitness program that has maybe more staff or a bigger eligible population.
Exactly.
That was it really. And now, and even early on in my career, that evolved very quickly. And I think people are looking at many different roles that can go beyond just being in corporate fitness. So that's so important to know that you may love what you're doing, but you may say, I want to grow and grow into something different. And I think that's what separates us and what's important for people to know about this industry and this segment of the industry for sure.
There's a ton of possibilities out there. Absolutely.
What does a career path look like in corporate fitness? I know it goes bigger than what I said, where you could start in
Mhm.
a small fitness center and go to a bigger one. There's more than that. Tell me more about that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we certainly have the roles that are in those on-site fitness centers, but then as the career path progresses, there's larger roles where you're managing a larger fitness center or you're growing to the region level and you're managing multiple fitness centers. There's also corporate roles, those behind the scenes roles, whether that's
Yeah.
in product development, that's in the research and the design roles. So there's a lot of different ways to contribute to this field, and it doesn't always have to be in the on-site fitness center. You have regional leadership, you have teams that are developing the next new thing and really getting out there and promoting our business. So it's a broad field.
All right. So career growth is important. It's only part of the story, though, of course, right? So the expertise that our professionals bring, I think it's what sets us apart, as I mentioned. So let's talk about the credentials, continuing education, specialized training. Let's get a little bit more into that. How does that translate into better experiences for the participants that are really the end result of what we're working with?
Well, you hit the nail on the head there mentioning continuing education and the
Hmm.
credentials, because I think a lot of times our mind initially goes to, a college degree, and a degree definitely provides a strong foundation of knowledge, but in fields like fitness, like injury prevention, behavior change, best practices continue to evolve. And so what you see is that what we thought we knew 10 or 15 years ago isn't always what we know today.
Right.
And that's why that continuing ed is so important. So those certifications, those CEUs, it really helps professionals stay on top of that emerging research. And so at the end of the day, do I think a participant is going to ask one of our fitness professionals, like, hey, where did your certification come from? Or what continuing ed course did you recently complete? No, I don't think that they will ask that, but they will absolutely feel the difference. They're going to notice it in the quality of the coaching, the relevance of the advice that they're getting, and really where it's going to play out is that trust that they develop with the professional. They're going to have so much more confidence in the support that they're getting from that fitness professional or that injury prevention specialist. Definitely.
For those considering a career in the industry, or maybe they're looking for a career change, what can you tell them about what they need to know to get into this industry?
I think it's a couple of things depending on where you're coming from. If you're a newer graduate, I would highly recommend looking at internships. It is a great way to get to know this industry, but also to explore what area you really are passionate about. So Health Fitness and companies like ours offer internships, and I think that is a great way to get started. If you're a career shifter, if you're mid-career and looking to pivot a little bit, I would say demonstrating that your knowledge is recent and relevant is really key. So by that, I mean those certifications. If you don't have a certification right now, pursue one or start one and show us that you are a continuous learner and that, you're keeping your skills relevant with the recent research for sure.
Stay curious, right?
Exactly.
And let's talk to employers. What's something you wish that every employer would think about when they're looking to make sure that they have a strong workplace well-being program?
I would say you're likely going to get a really strong fitness professional or well-being professional there on site. And what you need to dive into is the company and the system behind that professional. The partner that you choose needs to be developing and supporting that professional. And so really dive into how do they develop that well-being professional or that fitness professional on site there, and what kind of support do they have for them? Because that is the game changer. That is going to make all the success difference in how that person improves your workplace well-being and improves your workplace culture.
Very well said. We are just about out of time, but before we go, I do have a couple of other questions for you, but they're my quickie quiz, so they're fun ones. I want to know how you're taking care of yourself. So my first question is, what's your favorite healthy snack?
My healthy favorite snack. I like to head out to my garden and I'm growing cherry tomatoes. So I grab a few of those and I put them over cottage cheese with just a pinch of salt for kind of the midday snack. That's my go-to.
Okay, that sounds yummy. What's your favorite exercise or workout right now?
We have a park just about a half a block away, and I love to go down there and circle around the pond and do some of the hills and take in the scenery while still getting some steps and some exercise in. That's my favorite.
All right, I love it. The great outdoors. And last thing, your favorite recovery form or the way that you recharge?
If I can be patient enough for it, I have found that stretching, like stretching before heading to the park and stretching after, if I can convince myself to be patient enough for it, it does a world of good. So I would say favorite recovery form is stretching.
Well, I love it. Well, go out and get a stretch in. You earned it today. Thank you to you, Darcie, for joining us and sharing your expertise. And thank you to our audience for listening today. If you liked what you heard, make sure you hit the like button, but most importantly, subscribe. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you found today's discussion both thought-provoking and enjoyable. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe and share this episode with your colleagues and friends. We'd really love for you to stay connected with us. Until next time, take care, stay active, and stay curious.